Uh, have I bitten off more than I can chew? Probably. I probably have. Uh, let's start today with what I've got on the needles in terms of socks, because I promised last week that I was going to cast on for uh, Grocery Girls Sock Bash for August, which the theme is basket weave. And I said last week that I was planning on knitting from Charlene Church's little box of socks, the double basket socks pattern. And I did that. And I also said I was planning on using Knit Pick Stroll in the uh, Duchess Heather. Yeah, it's a purple. Um, very nice and soft. And so I am doing that. And I'm past the heel. Pull that out there. But that is the basket weave. And it is a really easy pattern to memorize. I'm very pleased with how easy it is to, to keep going with that without referring to the chart. And what I did, because I thought I was going to pick this up and put it down a lot, and I didn't want to lose my place, is I wrote, excuse me, I wrote the steps on little cards. There's round 8, and I didn't use the chart, although I could have. Um, I just decided this way I would know where I was if I put it down for a day. And turned out that after I did a repeat and a half, I knew what I was doing, and I didn't really need to refer to the cards. So that's going quickly. Sock number 1, and I have to have these done by the end of the month. So that is very doable, and I will get to that. And then I decided to cast on a sweater this week because I'm crazy. And I had been going through my stash and pulling out, some junk acrylic that I really didn't want to have anymore. And I gave that to a thrift store. Um, and in the process of looking at all the bins in my clothes closet, of which there are 2 very large ones, I found a sweater quantity of more Knit Picks. Knit Picks swish worsted in marble heather. It's a nice medium gray worsted weight, very soft. And I decided to make a Tin Can Knits flax pattern, pullover pattern for my travels. And I decided to do some intarsia on it. And this chart that says the words hand knit, I am putting on the front of the sweater. That's from Casapinka's hand knit sweater, and she uses the recommended yarn. One of the recommended yarns for that pattern is actually Lion Brand Thick and Quick on 10.5 needles. I'm using, Stash and size 8 needles for this sweater, and I do like the gauge I'm getting. And I like the garter stitch going down the sleeves. This is a free pattern, Tin Can Knits flax pullover, top-down pullover. There are 2 versions of it. One, you cast on the ribbing at the neck and just go from there. The other one, you cast on below the ribbing and then pick up and do the ribbing later at the end of the sweater. And I chose that second version to give me more stability and flexibility in terms of what I'm going to put at the collar. I want to try it on first. I want to see. I did make this hand knit 3 inches below the neckline, and this really needs blocking. It's probably going to need to be pressed. But I had a little bit of a struggle with this because as I spoke to my husband about it, it's not perfect. It was bothering me a lot that these ends especially were very rough. and where you change the yarns and add them in. And I did a little bit of Swiss darning to sort of fix it. It's not quite done yet, but I was thinking, oh, maybe I need to do the word knit in, um, duplicate stitch. And then I went, wait, it says hand knit. What am I thinking? So I am carrying on with actually doing the intarsia. And what I'm doing is with this, I just have a little bit of this worsted. I don't even know what the label is. Worsted teal yarn, blue teal yarn. Um, I'm doubling it. I'm taking a long strand of it and starting in the middle, going across because I'm knitting this in the round. And then when I come around again, I'm picking up that long strand and doing the second row. So I only have half the number of ends to work in and all on one side. So that um, has helped me. I hope that explanation makes sense. Um, but that has helped me, and I am going to press the heck out of this, and get it to look better. But I think having it look a little imperfect and say hand knit is okay. Um, and my floats are pretty good. They're pretty good. So, uh, yeah. Um, but perfectionism, yeah, can be an enemy. Um, so that's on my needles, and I just started that a few days ago. So that's going quickly. Um, One of the things I wanted to bring to folks' attention is that 'tis the season for advent calendars. And if you aren't familiar with that, yarn stores and yarn dyers and yarn companies come out with, usually around this time of year, uh, advent calendars. You can find a lot of them on Etsy, and they are like an advent calendar. You open a little box or a little bag or something for 14 days or 24 days or 31 days, depending on how much you're willing to spend and what you're actually getting. Um, and you get a little bit of yarn. Usually it starts with a cowl pattern or a sock pattern or a mitten pattern or a doll pattern, something relatively small. And you will open each day of the month of December, usually. You'll open a little package and it'll have either another piece of yarn, or it might have a little bar of soap or a stitch marker, or you know emery board, branded emery board. I've had that. um, I have ordered twice. I have ordered the box of light from String Theory in Glen Ellen, Illinois. It's a nice one. It's fingering weight. They provide a pattern for a cowl. The first year it was all blue yarn, different shades of blue, and I made. Actually, I went back and did a Casapinka um, shawl, one of her textured shawls with that yarn. And then the second one was rainbow. It was very bright rainbow yarn, and I made a cowl for youngest child with that. But this year I decided I wanted to do something different, and so and I also wanted to get beyond uh, Advent calendar season, because the ads for Advent calendars is really bombarding me on Instagram and on my emails and everywhere else. One of the ways to tamp down the desire to buy an Advent calendar is to just buy one. And then, okay, I've got mine for this year, so I can filter out all of these ads for Advent calendars. I decided to get Woolly Thistles in New Hampshire because it's sock oriented. And I thought, okay. And I really appreciated their sock sprint in July. That was a lot of fun. And so, and I didn't buy their sock bag. I had already gotten started with what I wanted to do for July. So yeah, I decided that I'm going to do their also. Oh, their Advent calendar is only 12 days, so it's a little lower priced, and that's more manageable, I think, for me than a 24 or 31 day Advent calendar. So I'm looking forward to getting that. they ship in November. Advent calendars, they put in you pre-order them because they oftentimes hand dye the yarn, hand swatch the yarn, or roll, wind it into smaller balls or provide minis or whatever. And they have it's a lot of hand labor to put these together because you have to package up these little things to put in these little advent calendars. So um, yeah, it's you pre-order them and they ship in November. So you might want to consider that. It can be fun. I thought the string theory ones, the two times I did that, was a real treat during the holidays to open something and every day and have some yarn or just a little something to carry you through the holidays. I did enjoy that. But yeah, it tis the season for that. It's also tis the season coming up real quick for fall yarn, fall sweaters, buy stuff, fall patterns. And if you're, part of the shop your stash movement, which I'm trying to start, um, it's for me, what I'm going to do between now and the end of the year is uh, catalog on Ravelry the sweater quantities of yarn that I have. And I'm also going to catalog my UFOs because I'm making 2025 my year of finishing UFOs, unfinished objects. Um, I've been going through since I started this podcast and since actually earlier this year, um, going through my stash, going through my yarn closets, really looking for how I can utilize what I have. And it's been great. Um, but it has also brought to my attention how many things I have in bags that are not done, that are on the needles. And so it's time for me to either finish or frog whatever I have on the needles. And 2025 is when I'm going to do that. One of the UFOs I have, the ongoing projects, is a blanket. I have several blankets on the needles. But this one is a leftover, and it's Louise Tilbrook's mitered square sock yarn blanket. And I have what I'm doing is this is sock yarn on size 4 needles, 21, no, excuse me, 41 stitches, 20 stitches per side, and one stitch in the middle. Garter stitch squares. And what I am doing, size 4 needles, I am making them 3 by 3 squares. And then I'm going to sew them together. That lets me use up sock yarn. And if I have enough to make repeats, to go ahead and do that. And then um, once I have, say, 16 or 20 of these 3 by 3 9 squares done, I can figure out, first of all, do I want to put a border around this and then sew it together, or do I just want to have square by square by square? I haven't figured that out yet. This is really busy, but it's also kind of funky. I might decide to put a border, a solid border around these, not black, but a solid border of some kind around these. Um, black is black fingering is just really hard. Um, but yeah, I've got these. I'm on my fourth one. There's a see, there we go. This needs the last square put on it. And with the self-striping yarns, it really makes a bold statement. It's really nice. So these take a lot of time, but you get to use up when you finish a pair of socks. Just make squares out of the leftovers is kind of fun. And then, as I say, I can make 16, 20 of these, 25 of these, depending on how large I decide I want the blanket to be. And I can then lay them out and work out, if I have this is a rather bold square. I don't want this one right next to another one with this yarn. So I'll move them around and make it a little more at random. But the weight of this is really nice. It's not heavy. It's like I said, it's sock yarn, so that makes it relatively cold water washable, and it's cushy. It's garter. It's the squares go quickly, and it uses up leftovers in a very efficient way. So I'm liking this. Like I said, this is Louise Tilbrook's design. She has a book. She has an ebook. She has a website that shows her process. Um, Her website is louisetilbrookdesigns.net, and I'll link that below. Great way to use up leftovers on the sock stuff. Is that it? Oh no, that's not it. The other thing I'm doing is, and I've shown this before, um, putting together my own little advent calendar um, of leftovers, more sock leftovers. For This is the I've shown this before too. This is the where is it? Motley Hoof. There we go. Motley Hoof. The Motley Hoof cowl. I want to make sure that I. There we go. Get you a sense of the colors in that. This is by Malabrigo, and yeah, it's is it by Malabrigo? I think it is. Um, no, I'm sorry, it's not. It's Madelinetosh. I apologize. This is a Madelinetosh pattern, and Motley Hoof. It's called. The kit for this, if you like this colorway and you don't want to use leftovers, the kit for this is on sale at Stephen B for $10 off. Um, but yeah, I put together a bag of oddball sock yarn, and the lovely thing about this Motley Hoof pattern is uh, they provide the weight of what you need to complete the color, complete the stripe. How much yarn do you actually need? And if you are doing leftover use, leftover sock scrap blankets, making socks out of scrappy stuff, you really highly recommend getting one of these drug scales. That's what it is. It's a I think they sell these at Knit Picks. I'm pretty sure. Um, you can just it weighs by the gram. Don't let you know. Don't don't let the customs people see you. I know a knitter who got stopped at customs because she had a gram scale, and it was for knit. She's like, I weigh yarn with that, but you can see what am I at zero? Yeah, okay. So this little ball is 24 grams. Now, knowing that, knowing that this is 24 grams, if I decide to start a matching pair of socks, I can knit, start a sock and knit this until it weighs 12 grams and know that I have the same amount to start the second sock and that I can make those two socks match. I use that scale a lot for that reason, to make sure, oh, am I going to have enough for the second heel? Am I going to have where am I on, if I've weighed this and it's 24 and I start knitting the heel and I weigh it again and realize, oh, I'm already down to almost half, then I stop and switch colors so that the other sock I'll have enough to match those stripes. So same with this. This, I know every color is 14 grams. So when I weigh a leftover, um, like this, if I decide to use this sock yarn, I have 24 grams. I know I have enough to use that for this dark color here and at the top. And these are mirror images. There's three repeats of this kind of arrow pointing inward and pointing up and down. There are three repeats of that, and there are three repeats of this diamond pattern in the middle. But the bottom and the top are mirror images of each other using the same yarn. So you need 14 grams of each one of those colors to do that. And so I know I have 24. So of this little leftover um, Volmice. This is the stuff that I used in, and I don't have that here, the drawstring. I ran it through the I-cord maker, and I used it as a drawstring for the sewn project bag that I used for sock week. So there's there's more than 14 grams left, and I can use that in this. So the next tool you might want to get, and here it is, it's going crazy now, but next tool you might want to get is one of these quite inexpensive drug scales, yarn scales to weigh your leftovers. All right, I think that's it. I will see you next week, and I hope to have a finished sock by that time, and also some more UFOs to show you, because I am going to get started with cataloging sweater quantity of yarn and cataloging UFOs, so that I can make 2025 the year of UFOs. Let's all do it together. You want to join me? Leave a comment below. I appreciate it. Thanks. Bye.